Ever wondered how engineers simulate structures and processes? In this video, we will code the basic finite element method solver in Python from scratch in less than 15 minutes. Let's go with it! Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we will code a simple finite element method solver written in Python, and we will use isoparametric finite element to solve plane stress or plane strain equations. And to do that, we will begin with a single element, a quadrilateral element, before scaling up to see how FEM works. Let's go with it. Okay, so we will begin with this example. I will use Jupyter Notebook for creating this code. This is two sections. The first one is which will be used for plotting. So the lighting and will be defined parts by parts. So the first thing we want to see is that this is an import element for elements with for shape functions. This is a C Greek letter, which is the horizontal internal coordinates of this parametric element. I think I will be describing in a more detailed way in further videos, but the thing is when xi and eta with this letter are -1 in each case, this is 1, the value of the first function. The same happens with the number 2 node, with xi being 1 and eta being -1 will be 1, the n2 function, and so on. So, and on the other hand, we have several cut points in this element, which is described by integration points. Here we have these points, and here are the functions. The thing is, our first thing will be to include NumPy, which is our mathematical thing. We will be clicking this to study the code itself. And the first thing you want to do is to define these functions. We only need to build the derivative functions, the derivative of this. But this derivative, we can forget about this function, cannot be confusing, I'm sorry. And here, for certain t and eta functions, we will be returning this derivative relating to the internal coordinates. So this is our function, and this is what happens when we derive this n function per its xi function. This is the -1 being here, being here, and for the second function we derive this, and we get +1, 1 minus eta, and so on. So we have built this derivative, and we then will compute our stiffness matrix. For that, I think it's important to define our elasticity number. We will obtain the stresses from the strains, the elastic strain. Remember that this will be a static problem. Okay, we see some trouble here, and it's because of this symbol. We are okay with this, and later we can include our stiffness matrix. We can see one by one our parameters. This computes the stiffness matrix. We can, which is also named K. We will define this in a two-dimensional finite element problem. We can see that we have 4 nodes per element, and dimension is 2. Okay, we can put it right here, the number of nodes, and equaling xi and eta for each points. Here we define right here in this array, NumPy array. Okay, so next thing, we will be getting our derivative, and I think this is a good moment to show you this. I quit the shape function without derivative because I have deleted it in order for you to obtain only this function, okay? So we will see how this is obtained. So we can print our module elasticity. This is defining materials, and we are defining here our node coordinates. It's a cube. Sorry. And we can apply thickness and then computing our stiffness matrix. And we obtain it here this printing of the Jacobian matrix. I will only define here the functions, and here I will build the problem. And this is okay because our element, if you see, are one dimension, 1 unit of length, and these are the coordinates what come across -1, 2, +1, so it's the double. And this is the relationship between the global coordinates and the natural coordinates. It's the relation by 1, which is the dimension of x, divided by the internal coordinate length, which is 2. This gives us a 0.5, okay? And we will be continuing with our definition of the stiffness matrix. When we obtain J, the next step is to obtain the determinant to the Jacobian matrix in order to perform our Gauss integral, which relates this space with the global space. I think later I will be defining or remembering how it's our Gauss integration. So I will put it on the screen maybe, and later we invert our, once we have obtained these derivatives, which is here, I can now bring them and what we can see is I'm sorry, we will be deleting this one, which we are obtaining here is our derivative of the global function respect to the global coordinates. So the next thing we want to do is to make an arrangement of these functions to multiply themselves and obtain our derivative matrix. Okay, so to do this, we will be doing the thing in order to obtain our correct arrangement, and then we'll have our B matrices related to the derivatives of our chain function. Key value by adding B transpose by our elasticity matrix by B. And P dot, I think. And later put in by. So next, remember that B matrix is which multiplies the strain to the, displacement to get the strains, right? So if we multiply B by U, we get epsilon, right? We command this, we can command K, and finally we can evaluate this. And once we save this, we can get our K matrix here, stiffness matrix. So having our stiffness matrix, we can define our displacement vector, such as u zeros. And here we can put so this will be multiplying our stiffness matrix, and this is in fact and this only can be defined as this. Our forces, this is our forces. We can comment this. And finally, we want to define our, this is special for this problem, apply degree of freedom. We can apply this function, we will define it, and the thing that this function does is to annulate all the rows and the columns related to the degree of freedom, which is called the we want to restrain. Okay, so this slide will put an 1 in the top member of the K matrix, and we will define previously our displacement there. So suppose that we want an element in which we want to apply some boundary conditions in the first 2 dimensions of the nodes. And we can do, in that case, we can define our boundary conditions to be to be 0 and 1 in order to restrict these 2 directions, which is the first degree of freedom. Remember that we don't have here a global and a local degree of freedom. So the next degree of freedom to restrict will be the vertical disk in order to have like a simple restraining quad. It's restraining this node and vertically in this node, so we can expand like this in all directions. And finally, we will solve the system. We can use this function, but I think it's not necessary here to solve our u displacements. We can put here our 0 and 1, and we have here our displacement solved, system displacement. But previously we want to define our boundary condition regarding to forces or displacement. And we have our displacement here. And in order to see this displacement, we can also watch with this. And we can see that, for example, we can omit this because it is a default argument. I'm sorry. We have here our displacement, but we want it being so little that we can put some other default of scale to deform our. We can change our coordinates to be different square dimensions in order to see how our results are changing. So we have a little square little dimensions and certain forces. We can also see how our dimensions decrease with a lower magnitude. And also, if we change our direction, instead of applying its vertical direction, we choose the degree of freedom 4. Is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 is our 3-node decimal direction, horizontal direction. And since we are applying a negative factor, we can see how our displacement decrease and how our shape is moving around, right? Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, like and subscribe for more content like this. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below with any questions or video ideas. Also, if you want exclusive updates on tutorials on open source solvers, join my email list in the description. See you in the next one.